Good evening and welcome back to the Arsenal newsroom. Welcome back to the Rory Talks Arsenal YouTube channel. We are talking today about the Olympiacos game tomorrow. We're talking about Saliba's new contract. We're talking about Arteta living rent-free in the minds of the media. And it's good to see you. I hope you're doing well. If you are new to the channel, please do subscribe. We are so close to 24,000 subscribers. And if you could click the like button as well. And if you're watching on the replay, please do click the hype button down in the comments below. But loads of you here, which we love to see. Pigeonhead is here, Oslo Guna, Josh Blocks, Logical Nonsense, VV Vlad, Muhammad Ali, Curtis, Alki, good to see you. Philip Jakobsen as well. Yeah, everything seems pretty rosy at the moment, doesn't it? Saliba's new contract today. The way that they spoke about that contract, the way he spoke about Arsenal. I did put that in a previous video, so I released a video today going through all of that sort of stuff. So if you want to watch that, feel free to. We won't go over it and repeat it again, but in short, basically saying it was never on his mind to move to another club. Massively high in his praise of Arteta, saying that he thinks Arteta is a top coach. He believes Arteta and the coaching staff are the people to get the best out of him going forwards. And he wants to win trophies at Arsenal, and nothing else was ever on his mind. So you love to see it. Ryan Patel says, I finally got notified. You love to see it. Hyper Protagonist is here. Good to see you. Big up Rory from Vegas. Wow, Josh is in Vegas. You love to see it. Does Saliba earn 250 quid a week now? I'd hope he's on more than 250 quid a week, to be honest with you, because that would seem pretty harsh. No, 250 grand a week. We don't know. Like, that was rumoured. If he's on 250 grand a week, like, obviously it's a lot of money, but in terms of the context of the football world, probably reasonable. I think Van Dijk's on like well over 300 grand a week. Saliba would argue that he's in the next bracket of centre-backs in the world, and he's in his prime years. So, that would seem reasonable. Stefan, thank you very, very much for gifting a membership to the channel. Stefan is the GOAT. And it looks like it was Curtis straight off the bat. Curtis is the one that got it, and he has thanked Stefan for it. What a legend. What an absolute legend. Toby has become a new member as well. Toby, I appreciate the support. As always, anyone that becomes a member, you do not have to, but I do massively appreciate it. It helps keep the channel going. VV Vlad said, this feels so good for all of us that lived through 2008 to 2017-ish. Saliba's genuinely world-class. Probably starts for any team in the world. Exactly. Pigeonhead, thank you for gifting a membership as well. If you've just been gifted a membership by Pigeonhead, please do make sure. There you go, Alki Taylor is the one that's got it. Oh, look at this. Everyone's giving other people memberships. You love to see it. Pigeonhead, thank you very, very much for that. I really do appreciate it. No, back to what VV Vlad said, though. You're right. Like, those of us that went through, and I appreciate there are some people that like are young enough that they didn't go through it, but when you're that team that's meant to be big, meant to be competing, but you're having your best players picked off every summer for not a lot of money, it's tough. It's horrible. And then you're left in a position where you haven't even got, but like your best players aren't even good enough to be picked off by the top teams anymore, which we ended up in. So now, to have players that genuinely could walk into pretty much any team in the world, committing 5 years in the prime of their lives or the prime of their careers, it's massive. Stefan's gifted another membership. Stefan, thank you very, very much. If you've just been gifted by Stefan, please do make sure to thank him. Stefan is the GOAT. Thank you, Stefan. I really do appreciate it. Would you say that is in the top 5 wins of Mikel Arteta's tenure? I think it's difficult. I think it's reactionary. I do. It's an important win, right? Don't get me wrong. Really, really good for the morale. Told us a lot of things about this squad. Is it in the top 5 wins of his, because you go back, you talk FA Cup final. That's got to be up there. Arguably, FA Cup semi-final to get to the final probably has to be up there. This ultimately is just a tough away game in a Premier League season. So I do think it's a bit reactionary to say that it's, or over the top maybe to say that it's one of the top wins of his career. But yeah, It's a very good win, is what it is. Hand of Arsenal is in the building. I appreciate it. Shout out, Rory. Smash the like button. Yeah, please do hit that like button. By the way, if you're on TikTok, click the like button on there by double tapping the screen, or come over to the YouTube channel where I'm looking at the chat. The link is in the bio for that one, but I appreciate you. No, not welcome to the Diddy room. Not welcome to the Diddy room. It's not the Diddy room. It's not the Goon room. It's the newsroom, I think. I think that's what I've settled on. Want to point out that it was our first comeback win in the Prem since Bournemouth. What a game. Was it actually? No. No, not the Goon corner. That's even worse. That's like you've been sent to the corner. Is that actually our first comeback win since Bournemouth? Surely not. I'm trying to think now. Haven't been so happy for a goal since Nelson's goal. Yeah, I feel that. Nah. Rice's second free kick, I think, is the one that I just can't top. But that's what the broadcast said. Luton. Yeah, Luton was the season after, right? Yeah, Brentford away. Unless it's a more recent Bournemouth game than the one I'm thinking of. But yeah, Luton was after Bournemouth. That was the following season. Either way, what I will say is we don't do it enough. We don't do it enough, so it is a really good sign. Speaking of Hand of Arsenal in the chat, by the way, he confirmed today. So Saliba signs the new deal. Bukayo Saka is next. Andrea is on it, and it's close. And there will be another new contract after Bukayo Saka. So that at that point, you're getting into the realms of like Declan Rice, Jurdy, and Timber. It's probably Declan Rice. I would assume it's Declan Rice. But, his current contract doesn't end until 2028 anyway. So, the speed at which we're getting on top of all of these deals. You look at this summer, all of the work that we did bringing players in, but also Miles Lewis-Skelly 5-year deal, Nwaneri 5-year deal, Gabby 4-year deal, Saliba 5-year deal. It's really, really good. It really is. What's the injury news? So the injury news ahead of the Olympiacos game tomorrow. This came from Arteta today. No new injuries, no surprise injuries. Hincapié, Madueke is still out, along with Havertz and Jesus. The only one that I don't think we really have much of an idea about the timeline of is Hincapié. I don't think it's serious, but he is still out. So that's a shame, because these are the sorts of games where Hincapié could be beginning to sort of integrate with the squad. Like, he's missing out on these games where I feel like he could start integrating, but it is what it is. At least we've got the depth and the backups to deal with it. We think Hincapié is going to be a player. Yeah, very good player, I think. The VAR behind the scenes has dropped on Sky. You should watch it. VAR egging on Gillett to change his mind on the Gyökeres penalty. Really? They've already put that on Sky? Is this with Howard Webb, Dan? Because if that's true, that's crazy. What's Kai's return timeline? In and around the November international break. I'm pretty sure he'll be back after the November international break. Same with Madueke. I doubt VAR hasn't dropped it. Match officials is at 6:30. I don't know. I'll go through my lineup for tomorrow in a minute. What if I just dislike the video? I'll be very sad. I'll be very sad. Howard Webb said it was a good use of VAR. Did he actually? I'm going to lose my head. Arsenal players out this summer in wages total is 1.1 million a week, and Arsenal wages incoming is 900k a week. So if Saliba and Saka get 100k each extra, Berta has updated depth and all 5 renewals without increasing the wages. That's crazy. Surely it's more than 900k a week that's come in. Maybe. Raya, White, Mosquera, Big Gabby, MLS. We'll go through what my lineup would be in a minute. But yeah, so look, big things at the club. Saliba signing the new deal, Saka signing a new... I mean, Saka was always going to sign the new deal. That was never in doubt. Keeping our best players, the squad depth that we've got. You look at the game at the weekend, 4 games in a row that the substitutes, or one of the substitutes we brought on, has scored. And now, I think we're in a really good place going forwards. I looked back today. I predicted the first 6 Premier League games of the season on TikTok before the start of the season. And I was watching it back today. I predicted we'd be on 14 points. The only prediction I got wrong was I predicted we would draw at Anfield, and obviously we lost. The other games, I predicted we'd draw to City and win the other 4. And that was before the start of the season. So that's before Havertz's injury, before Saka's injury, before Saliba's injury, before Ødegaard's injury. I think if you told me before the start of the season, if you told me when I made that prediction video, oh, by the way, within that first 4 weeks, you're going to lose Saka, Saliba, Ødegaard, Havertz, I don't think I'd have even predicted we get 13 points, which is what we got. And if you really think about it, as frustrating as it is, like that game away at Anfield, we lose to a worldly free kick. A draw would have probably been a fair result on the way that the game went. If that's a draw, we're top of the table, unbeaten through 6 and a really difficult 6. So all things considered, I think it's a good start to the season. And as much as we are 2 points behind Liverpool for now, they haven't looked great, and they've got a much tougher run coming up. So, yeah, I think it's good. I think 13 out. 14, would have been better, obviously. But 13 ain't bad. Ain't bad at all. Hype isn't on stream. No, apparently you can only hype after the stream on the watch back. You can't hype a live stream. Sacking Arteta would ruin the culture and dressing room. It's his team. They love him. Another manager could ruin the club. Yeah, I agree. I think, you look at the way that players arrive at the club, immediately they talk about Arteta. They talk about how much they're learning off Arteta. You look at players when they're signing new contracts, they talk about Arteta. There's no, discontent within the dressing room. There are no dressing room sagas. We've had 3 really difficult seasons back to back to back where we've not won things, and yet he's managed to get them going again. And, Saliba says today, this season we'll go even harder. The fact that he's managed to bring them back like that, I just think it's really good. I think it's really, really good. Did I miss I missed a super chat. Oh, Philip Jakobsen with the 20 money says, thanks for the streams. FYI, hype button is mobile only. There you go. Philip, thank you very, very much for the 20 money. Swedish krona, I believe that is. Thank you very much. And there you go. Informative indeed. You can only hype on mobile. So there you go. And apologies for missing that. Sacking Arteta would be the worst decision we could make. He got that Wenger aura. Players want to play for Arsenal and for him. Completely agree. It resets every Monday. What does? If Saka misses every international break before the World Cup, does he make it into the 26-man squad? Yes, he does. Of course he does. And bear in mind, right, the next international break, Saka probably is going to go on the next international break. Madueke's not. Cole Palmer's not. So who else plays off the right? Jarrod Bowen. So, excuse me. Yes. Yeah. I would. There's no way. Saka could not play between now and April, and he'd still be in the squad. What are your predictions for our next 5 games? Well, I'm going to upload a video on TikTok tomorrow predicting the next set of games. So you can see it there. Don't want to spoil it now. Rory knows his Scandinavian currency. Well, fortunately, we have lots of very generous Scandinavians in the chat. So, we get the SEK, we get the NOK. We love to see it. Gillett said the attacker plays the ball. I don't think the keeper does, but VAR kept pushing him about it. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. I'm surprised at how certain you are that it's a penalty. I've watched it many times now, and it's a tough decision. Christian, my biggest issue is not whether or not it's a penalty, although based on the João Pedro Saliba one, they justified that being a penalty. It's the fact that it gets overturned. That's my biggest issue. Because whether or not you think it's a penalty, the fact you're saying it's a tough decision, that means it should not be overturned. That means it should not have Jared Gillett looking at the monitor for over a minute to then overturn it. That's the biggest issue I have. We are consistently on the wrong side of those as well. Man United, the season before last, Kai Havertz goes down for a penalty. VAR overturns it when they shouldn't have done. PGMOL even came out after the game and said VAR shouldn't have overturned that one. It feels like we're always on the wrong side of them. Daniel Lavery, thank you very, very much for becoming a member of the channel. Daniel, absolute legend. I really do appreciate the support. Thank you very much. Exactly. This isn't what VAR is meant for. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to go back into that one too much. Is Rory or Nigel the most English name you can have? Rory's not an English name. Rory isn't an English name. It's either Irish or Scottish, predominantly. Obviously, there are other spellings of Rory. There's that mental spelling of Rory that's like Ruarig. God knows what it is. But yeah, it's not really an English name. What do you think about the Bruno G handball not given? Like, I could get over them not giving it. I'm really surprised that I don't think it was even checked by VAR. None of the highlights have shown it. None of the broadcasters have talked about it. I'm like, it's just as much of a handball as the Gabriel one, if not more, because it doesn't deflect off a defender. So yeah, I'm a bit surprised by that one. Anyway, look, let's get into. Let me bring myself up here. Let's get into tomorrow's game, Olympiacos. Not to be sort of dismissed, this game. It's another important Champions League game. We want to get top 8. We really do want to get top 8. I won't have people saying it doesn't matter. Olympiacos so far this season, I think, are unbeaten. Who did they play in their opening game? Yeah, they're on 4 wins and a draw so far in the Greek league. Who did they play in? Oh, they played Paphos in their opening Champions League game, and they drew 0-0, which actually is a bad result for them to draw to Paphos. They should have beaten Paphos. But ultimately, I mean, if you have a look at their team from their previous game, this is what we're coming up against. Most of the players you probably haven't heard of. This kid is good, right? Muzakitis, I think, is good. They're big fans of him. Podence obviously used to play in the Premier League. But it's a team that we should be beating. Fundamentally, it is a team that we should be beating. In terms of what I would be going with Arsenal's lineup, obviously this has gone Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Lewis, Skelly. That is probably what I would maybe play Mosquera instead of Gabriel, I think. Give Gabriel a rest and play Mosquera. Although Gabriel had a rest against Port Vale, actually, didn't he? So maybe I would do this. White, Saliba, Gabriel, Lewis, Skelly, I like. Ødegaard, Zubamendi, Marino is what they're predicting. Maybe. I mean, Declan Rice, like I said, I think he has been struggling a little bit with fatigue at the start of this season, so wouldn't mind him having a rest. I quite like that midfield. That was the midfield we played against Nottingham Forest, or we started with against Nottingham Forest. Quite like it. Saka, Gyökeres, Martinelli. I would be playing Eze off the left. What I want to see us try and do again is, or not again, for the first time, is have Ødegaard in the midfield, centrally. So I wouldn't have a 3 like this. I would have Zubamendi, Rice, Ødegaard in front, in the same way Eze was allowed to against Newcastle United. And then I'd play Eze off the left. But again, let him be as narrow and as central as he wants to be in the way that we allowed Trossard to be. That is what I would do. I would start Saka. I think we need to rebuild Saka's fitness as much as we can. And then obviously you've got a load of players to come off the bench. Smithy, thank you very, very much for becoming a new member of the channel. Very appreciative of the support. Absolute legend is Smithy. Thank you very much. And so, yeah, that would be it. Maybe. No, because I want to play Gyökeres because I think Gyökeres is really improving. I thought Newcastle was arguably his best game of the season. I think this is definitely a game where he could score goals in, which will be good to continue that momentum. So I probably would start Gyökeres, to be honest. I was thinking maybe you start Martinelli through the middle, but I'd leave it with that. And then obviously the bench, you have an extended bench in the Champions League anyway. So pretty much anyone can be on the bench that needs to be. And I would, in an ideal world, bring on Max Dowman. He would be by far and away the youngest ever Champions League player. If we bring him on in a Champions League game before his birthday at the end of December, Obviously, he would have been a 15-year-old Champions League player, which I think would be very cool. Kepa, no, I wouldn't start Kepa. I don't see the point. I don't see the point in rotating goalkeepers, to be honest with you. I get it in the Carabao Cup against Port Vale. I get it, but these are the sorts of games where you might need him. You might need your keeper to pull out a big save, and I want it to be David Raya. So yeah, that would be what I would do. But ultimately, some rotation, not a crazy amount of rotation, not the sort of rotation that we saw against Port Vale. Important game to win. Ethan needs game time. Yeah, I'd bring Ethan on for, if you're starting Ødegaard and Eze, then I would bring Ethan on for Ødegaard. If we're winning and it's possible that we can do that, or even if we're not winning and we need to push for a goal. So yeah, I would definitely give Ethan minutes. Hincapié is injured. Yeah, Hincapié is injured. Jesus to West Ham on loan makes sense. Does it? I don't know. We might sell him in January, to be honest. Nicholas, thank you very, very much for becoming a member of the channel. What an absolute goat. I appreciate the support. Really do. As always, every single member, it helps. So thank you very much, Nicholas, for doing that. Do we want to give Kepa experience? He's an experienced goalkeeper. I don't think we need to do it for me. Horrific amount of likes. There you go. Nid's called you out. Nid has called all of you out. Please do like the stream if you've not already. Costs you nothing. Helps me. Rory is the Irish spelling. Yeah, this is the Irish spelling. Ruadhri. I'll be honest with you. For the sake of simplicity, I do prefer my spelling. You can only imagine when you're giving out your name and you say Rory and then you have to spell that out every time. The man's 31 or something. He's played Champions League before. Yeah, exactly. I don't think he needs the experience. Are you watching Barca versus PSG or Arsenal? Well, I'll be at the Arsenal game. We're at home, so I'll be at the game. What about where has he been against Newcastle? Who? Did you mean to put? Maka, you've put multiple times. What about ? Where have he been against Newcastle? I don't know what you're. Are you missing out a player name in that? That is one way of spelling Rory. That's quite a common way. Oh, what about Weneri? Where was he against Newcastle? He was rotated out of the squad against Newcastle. We have that many players, and I think because Eze started in the 10, and then we had Ødegaard on the bench, and we now see Weneri as a central player, we didn't need Weneri on the bench as much as we maybe needed Daumann to play off the right-hand side. So that was why. We need Yok to score for his confidence boost. I don't think he ever loses confidence, to be fair, but I don't disagree. Why did you block me on Twitter? You must have said something that tilted me. I don't block that many people on Twitter, so you genuinely, whatever the last thing that you either replied to me with or said to me, clearly wound me up. Are you clapping at 23 minutes? Yeah, I will be. By the way, yeah, there's an Arsenal fan lost his life. 23-year-old Arsenal fan lost his life last weekend, I think. And yeah, his friends and family want everyone to clap on 23 minutes. So yeah, we'll be clapping on 23 minutes. I'm interested, Dax. I'm interested to hear what you had to say to me now, Dax. What did you call me? All I did was call Gyökeres. Why did you call him Gyökeres? That's what I must have assumed that you were a troll. Why would you call him Gyökeres? Why would you call one of our own players Gyökeres? I would start Nelly, Ødegaard, Leo. I'm devastated we don't have another striker. You'd start Martinelli, Ødegaard, and Trossard. As what? What? So either side of Gyökeres? Daxas? Yeah, imagine people kept calling you Daxas. Would you start Trossard or Martinelli? No, I wouldn't. I'd bring them both on again. If we need to, I'd have them both on the bench, and I'd bring them both on. In the same way that we did against Sociedad. The fact that we still have Havertz and Jesus out is crazy. We have such elite depth. And Madueke. It's crazy. Like, theoretically, Jesus Havertz. So you've got me calling people Havertz now. Well, this is ridiculous. Jesus, Havertz, Madueke could genuinely be a front three that would start a game. Like, you could start a game with Jesus off the left, Havertz through the middle, Madueke off the right. That's crazy. He blocks everyone on Twitter. Yeah, I said Sociedad because we were talking about the Sociedad midfield. I meant Bilbao. Too busy looking at the reformed Sociedad midfield next to me. Have you seen the Chiesa Pool drama? The fact he's not travelled when he's injured, apparently, Ross. I did see the drama, but then I saw a thing saying that he wasn't fit enough to travel. Ali, I'm not even going to bring that up on screen. But the answer actually is no, Ali, to your question. But I don't think we're going to bring that up. Do you have the feeling that this is our year? Yeah, but the problem is I've had the feeling that it's our year before. I had the start of last season was the first time where I truly thought it was our year. And then pretty much the entire squad got injured. So do you think there will be some major outgoings next season? There will be a couple, I expect, yeah. Like, we're getting to the point. You look at the squad, we are getting to the point where there are going to have to be major outgoings. Like, as simple as that. So there will be. In my humble opinion, we're winning the quad. There you go. Anyway, back to some of the other things today. Oh, did you see this RAF story? So there was this story about how Arteta wanted to bring in RAF pilots to improve the communication at the club, right? And so his logic was RAF pilots, their communication has to be perfect. It has to be as efficient as humanly possible to communicate the most in the least amount of time. And his idea was you bring them in, it could help, right? And these are the sorts of things where people get so wound up by it. People get so worked up. In reality, if that's the sort of thing where one time in the season, a player says something to another player that is quicker and gets that player to respond to something half a second earlier, and that stops a goal, and that saves you a point or 2 points. That's all it is, right? We talk about the finest of margins here. That's why he does it. Anyway, turns out, so there's an article in the Telegraph about it yesterday. Then, of course they do, Sky Sports wheel out Jamie O'Hara to talk about it today. Of all the people that could talk about it, they bring out Jamie O'Hara. Obviously, he just mocks it. He's like, is an RAF pilot gonna teach him how to defend corners? No, because he's not bringing them in to do corner practice, right? But the idea of transferable skills was not something that got into Jamie O'Hara's head. Point is, all of this malarkey, it then gets brought up in Arteta's press conference. Turns out all of this happened 2 years ago. All of it happened 2 years ago. Arteta mentioned it in a thing for leadership. It wasn't even to do with football management. It was to do with leadership 2 years ago. And then for some reason, Jay Burt in the Telegraph decided to write an entire article about it. And then it becomes a thing on Sky. You cannot tell me this happens with any other manager. You just can't. It is not normal, the way that they find things to talk about Arteta that don't relate to winning games. You know, when we beat Bilbao in the Champions League, 2 days later, they've got Charlie Austin talking about the fact that Arteta uses the term finishers instead of substitutes. Beat Newcastle United, 2 days later, they've got Jamie O'Hara talking about RAF pilots that Arteta. Like, it's not normal. You don't see clips of them talking about other managers doing that sort of thing. It's so weird. It's so weird. They clowned the bulb, they clowned Dubai, and you know what happened after that? Yeah. But it's this, like, the thing that I think I find most annoying is it's this, like, complete objection that they have to looking at it from the other side. It's mockery every time, instead of going, well, maybe there's method to it. Maybe that could actually help. Maybe improving their communication. You know, Arsenal have massively outscored every other team from corners. Why? Do they have anyone that is taller on corners? No. People whipping the ball in, are they better? Maybe marginally. Why are they scoring so many more corners? Maybe Arteta's done something. Maybe their communication, the fact that they all know exactly where they're running and who's doing what on a corner, maybe that's to do with communication. But they will not look at it from that way whatsoever. It's bizarre. It is bizarre. Doesn't every club think the media is against them? Yeah, probably. But some clubs actually have proof, you know? Because he doesn't win trophies, mate, not rocket science. Yeah, okay, well, so why are they praising Oliver? Well, okay, Oliver Glasner did win the FA Cup. But he's got the same amount of trophies as Arteta. Point is, if that's all it is, we just go, okay, he hasn't won a trophy, which he has. He literally won an FA Cup within 6 months. But if that's the point, why bother having a conversation about anything at all? Like, I don't know how you've snuck into the chat, to be honest. You don't seem particularly switched on. The chat's normally a bit more switched on. J-Bob, thank you for the $2. Bribe to stop the Martinelli hate you spread. I don't spread Martinelli hate. I don't. I've questioned him at Arsenal, particularly in the last season or so. I love Martinelli. The reason I wouldn't start him tomorrow is just because I want to see Eze off the left combined with Ødegaard in midfield. If Arsenal won the treble, the Arsenal agenda would continue and he would still get clowned for stupid shit. Well, this is the dumbest thing, right? This is the dumbest thing. So everything that Arteta's done so far doesn't work and is stupid. But if Arsenal win a trophy this season, then what? That means that it is smart. Like, it doesn't make sense. You wanted him sold? What, Martinelli? Yeah, I thought of the two between Trossard and Martinelli, if you were going to sell one of them, which it seemed at one point like we were going to sell one of them, I thought Martinelli, because you would get more money for him. And if he wasn't going to play much this season, his value would plummet. I stand by that. We are going to sell players. Like, Ben White is an example of a player that might end up getting sold in the not too distant future because we're going to run out of spots in the squad. Jova getting shit from Neville for standing on the edge of the technical area. Yeah, exactly. These are just things that you just don't see from anywhere else. Yeah, don't worry, Nid. I'm on the verge. We went from banter era to competing. No one expected us to be where we are 5 years ago. Being unlucky not to win a title. I'll keep the faith, and our best players renewing the deal is proof. Exactly. Stop listening to people that aren't in the game, right? Stop listening to people on the periphery of the game. Start listening to and judging the actions of people in the game. Look at the way other managers talk about Arteta and Arsenal. Look at the way that the players all want to stay at Arsenal. Look at the summer that we've just had. The players that were like forcing a move to Arsenal. They're the people in the game, not the people that basically didn't have what it takes to stay in the game and are now on the periphery of the game. Actions speak louder than words. It's very easy to sit there in the background jabbing away. Glasner won a charity shield as well. So same as Arteta. We got clowned for scoring a 90th minute and Man City get praised for 2 versus 10 men. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I think Eze has upped Nelly's game big time. Steel sharpens steel. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like, great, you know, Waneri missing out on the squad, right? That's tough. That is really tough. But if he's the right sort of character, which I have absolute faith that he is, that's just going to make him try even harder. That's going to want to make him work harder. And it'll be the same with all of the players. Hate the media agenda. Can't stand when people say handbrake. 100% coming from media and everyone bought it. Yeah, exactly. Handbrake on, handbrake off. We approached the games against City and Newcastle in basically the exact same way. But because one ended in a draw, one ended in a win, one handbrake on, one handbrake off, it doesn't actually make sense. I feel like the opponent's supporters are more worried about Arteta's success than people who actually support Arsenal. Yeah, pretty much. Thoughts on Bukayo Saka's fitness? I thought he was much sharper and was running at opponents more against Newcastle. I still don't think he's at his sharpest by any stretch, to be honest with you. I see what you're saying. Like, he did look sharper, but I still think there was one point where he had a proper sprint, and I was like, I don't think he's fully opening up the taps. I still think there's that little sort of thing that's holding him back from a full sprint, which is completely understandable because he's done both hamstrings in the last year. Nid has just made the exact point that I was going to make. The fact is, Saka at sort of 60%-ish looks like one of the best in the league again. So, yeah, now it's just a case of building back those minutes, building back the confidence, and we'll be good to go. Thoughts on what's next for United after Amorim? Honestly, don't know. I think they're going to go to a English manager. Like, I really do think Southgate could end up going there. I think it happens a lot. West Ham are the kings of doing this, right? They go, oh, the dog's going crazy. What's going on? West Ham go from like sturdy British manager that knows the league to flamboyant foreign manager that sounds fun. They give that manager all the money and then they go back to sturdy British man. I think that's where they're going to go. The only thing is, I don't think Gareth Southgate is he's not managed since 2009. Do you know how mad that is? He's not managed in terms of club football. You know, he managed Middlesbrough in 2000. Can you imagine if we were being linked to someone that hadn't managed at club level since 2009? It's crazy. Saka done both hammies in the past year. Yeah, not bad. Not the second one wasn't as bad as the first one. But he did. Obviously, he ripped his hamstring last season, which was the big one, and then this season he pulled the other hamstring, but it wasn't anywhere near as bad. Normally love Arsenal getting mugged off, but the game at the weekend was ridiculous. Think the ref is lucky you won. I agree, Jake. I agree with that, to be honest with you. So good that we can take off Saka when he's not 100%. If this was a couple of years ago, we would run him. Yeah, 100%. It's the same with half the players, right? Ødegaard probably starts at Newcastle last season because we wouldn't have had Eze to do it. Saliba starts against Newcastle last season because we didn't have Mosquera to do it. No, not big time. But I think it would have definitely been in his head. Okay, he tore the one hamstring, and maybe it's like, okay, that's just really unlucky, is what it is. I think you then start this season and fairly quickly pull the other. You're like, oh my God, am I going to have hamstring problems? But it's fine. Have you seen any long-term injury updates? Not massively. I mean, we're still expecting, I think, Madueke and Havertz to be back after the November international break, which our run of games until the November international break isn't bad at all. You know, I think our Premier League games between now and then are West Ham, Fulham, Palace, Burnley, and Sunderland. But we come straight back after that international break with Spurs, Bayern, Chelsea. So important to have them back by then, which it sounds like there will be. And then Jesus is probably December, January time. A lot of people got carried away with when they thought he was going to come back. Like, it'll be a year pretty much from when he did it. What's going on with Sunderland? Are they this solid or a lucky early run? A little bit of both, but they are solid. They are solid. Won't be an easy game. Away at Sunderland, it won't be an easy game. It's the sort of game we should win. Like, we should have enough quality. We should dominate the game enough to beat them, but it won't be easy. I did my hammy in May, and there's a psychological barrier to going all out again. It also feels off still. Yeah, I had loads of issues with my quad, my right quad. And it is. Like, now, I can't kick a football full power without just assuming that it's going to rip again. Will be good to have Hincapié fit. It will. It's a shame Hincapié is not fit, to be honest. Same with Madueke. Madueke was getting into really good form. Anyway, look, this is going to be the end of the stream, but we do have a quiz question this time. So if you enjoy the quiz question, make sure you hang around. If not, I appreciate you for watching. Feel free to go and watch the video I put out earlier about Saliba signing the new contract and the effect that Mikel Arteta has and how they spoke about that in the interview. And yeah, Other than that, enjoy the rest of your evening. Content tomorrow. There probably won't be anything until a reaction video to the Olympiacos game once I get back from the game, because I'll be at the game. Seb on Spurs. Is this the actual Seb on Spurs, though? That's the question. Because there's a Seb on Spurs on Big Up that's pretending to be Seb on Spurs. So, I don't know. This might be another little fraud. Right, quiz question. Fingers on your keyboards. First person to get it right in the chat wins the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks Football community. The quiz question is this. Okay, so yeah, there's a guy pretending to be Seb on Spurs on YouTube and on Big Up, which is a shame. There you go. They are now gone. The question is this. Who scored Arsenal's only goal when we beat Chelsea 1-0 at home last season? Who scored Arsenal's only goal when we beat Chelsea 1-0 at home last season? Who's going to get it first? There it is. There it is. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Miko Marino. That is correct. Ross Lawman is the winner. Ross Lawman, the long-time GOAT. Between him and VV Vlad of all of the quizzes that we've done, Ross Lawman gets it first, Leo Nesbitt gets it second, Christian gets it third, Dara gets it fourth, and Logical Nonsense gets it fifth. There you go. Congratulations to Mr. Ross Lawman. Look, that is going to be the end of the stream. Appreciate you all for watching. The dog is going crazy this time. And yeah, I will be back with a reaction video tomorrow, and then the streams will continue for the rest of the week. Other than that, enjoy your evenings, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Until then, goodbye.